Hello guys, welcome back to X Studios, as today I have a very special guest. As you can see, on my side we have Pier from FaderX himself.
Thank you so much. Hello guys, thanks to Davide for having me. It's still great to be in the studio today, and we're gonna explain a couple of things regarding a track and how I do things with the FaderX project on my side, on behalf of the other two guys in the project too.
Yeah, thank you for being here, as today we are covering the project of Free, our track which is out almost a year ago, almost a year ago,
like that,
on Protocol Recordings, and we're gonna take a look on something that I may have done or Pierre have made done with the FaderX sounds. So let's dive into the project. So here's the project of Free. Basically it started as your idea actually, because this lead, as you may see, is called Pierre because you sent me the MIDI and the sound, which is basically a silent one. It's very simple as a sound,
sure.
But I like when you process a sound because you use a lot of things that maybe should be uncorrected, but you know,
yeah.
There's something in music, as I said a lot of times, that if you make a mistake, maybe you are on the right direction, right?
Yeah, you know, it's all about being academic or being self-made. So a lot of times when you are self-made, you can do some mistakes, and if you had some knowledge of what you're doing, probably you would not do this because it's a mistake actually. But if it sounds good, it is good. So yeah, a lot of things I do in the lead, especially in the FaderX leads, which are very plucky, very dirty, but those things sounds good. So you know, why shouldn't I keep them?
Yeah, and let's see how you processed it, because
yeah.
I can see a lot of things. This is your chain actually.
Yes.
I just dragged them into the project. There is a distortion, there is a manipulator, there is a wow filter, there is another wow filter. So just try to explain how you feel about processing with all these things and what makes the difference for you the most.
What makes the difference? It's listening to stuff. I gotta be honest with you. I never took the plugin knowing that I wanted this plugin. I just drag on stuff and say, okay, this sounds good, this does not sound good, and stuff like that. And then this master chain is actually kind of lethal because I had a less powerful PC at the time, so I had to be picky on the plugins and stuff like that. So it came up to an EQ. As you can see, it's just a basic EQ. I'm gonna just push a little bit on the treble. At the time, I didn't make like the little fading in the end because I should have done. It's just like pushing the trebles, erasing everything on beneath 110 and stuff like that. For the distortion, it's kind of easy actually. It's just, as you can see, everything comes down to the global. So you have the last knob, which is mix wet and dry. Mm-hmm. It's 1.5. So
it's very thin.
You're not going to hear this, but if it's not there, you're going to hear that it's not there. And
I know that feeling.
Exactly. It's the little things, you know, the details. And about the manipulator, well, here we got the init. It's basically for the stereophony. As you can see, there's nothing in there. It's just the stereo. It gives. You can do this with a doubler, actually. Mm-hmm. I do it on basses, which are kind of plucky basses too. And the rest, the wow filters are just for the nitty and gritty stuff. You know, the really distorted stuff, but it gives an identity, let's say, to the plug.
Yeah, let's have a listen without all the distortions. With the flanger too, that it's exactly coming maybe from the silent. It's really nice, and I always loved these plugs. I always love this kind of filters and EQ you put. And the thing that makes me smile the most is that in this part, actually the sounds comes too big at the end when all the envelopes are going up. So we needed to push the volume a little bit low because of all the processing. This is really, really uncommon stuff, I think, but it works. So it's really, really good to have someone that maybe doesn't work properly with the precise rules, but do all this stuff that sounds great, I think.
Yeah, it works, you know. So it's all about, basically I had, or in the track I can say we had two choices. We're gonna have to put down the volume on an automation, which I don't like it because I don't know, it's just not what I wanted, and in the end what we wanted to. So why not just putting down the compressor and stuff like that, the makeup. It's gonna be a lowering on the volume stuff anyway, so it's gonna be the same thing. But I feel like we're gonna lose less power by doing that instead of doing the volume automation.
Yeah, and I think it's better because in this part here, the volume control of the channel, you often have to change the volume itself. So if you do an automation here, then you have to go back and remake all the automation, and it's kind of annoying. It kills your workflow, I think.
Yes.
And then we have some layering, especially for the drop. This is, I remember we did this together. This is a marimba coming from Contact. One on the left and one on the right. This is the result, actually. And layered with the main pluck, you can hear some different things in the high frequencies that maybe you lose in the main lead because of the processing, because if you saturate too much, you need to erase something in the high. So we just cover it with this plug here. Again, it's really low, but if it's not there, you can hear it.
Yeah.
Then we had this for the mid bass. That is basically a typical FaderX sound, and this is the same from the lead, but just EQ'd differently. I think, I don't remember which EQ is, but I should have it here somewhere. Okay, no distortion at all, exception from this one that is...
It's zero. So
it's zero, so it's just copy and paste, so it's not effective at all. So you have this kind of muddy sound that feels good in the overall sounds of the drop, as you can see. And this is really, really nice because you can have all this spectrum field even with less plugs, less audio files. You know, there's people that's working a lot with layering, but if you have the right pick on the plugins, on the effects, you can work with a little CPU going too.
Yeah, and you know, basically it's just about adding lower octave, because you know, if we add the same distortion, same stuff going on, probably we're gonna have two sounds that's gonna fight each other on the spectrum and on the frequency side. If you just get rid of some of the plugins, some of the distortions, and then you add the two things, and one of the two is 1 octave lower, you're gonna have a fuller sound. So even as you said, the marimbas, they give that little bright stuff. So as you said, it's just like the distortion we talked about before. If you don't have it, you're gonna feel it. So it's important to have a complete layering on the lead, especially on those kind of plucky leads.
Talking about bass lines, we always had these kind of similarities in our processing, but with the years something has changed for me. So I would like to know what's the secret sauce for you to process the bass line.
Well, things have changed because obviously genres have changed. So before it was more with long basses, very distorted, and now it's more about the pluckiness and stuff like that. So as I said before, it's like an octave work. So obviously the bass is gonna do other stuff. It's gonna follow the rhythm, but not necessarily the notes. But still, maybe it's laziness, but the processing is pretty much the same as the lead. As I said before, it's getting rid of those plugins which actually might be just too much. And obviously for the sub bass is what I honestly learned from you, which is being on the sub and only on the sub frequencies on mono and stuff. But what's the upfront bass, it's pretty much as lead with the same processing, just getting rid of some of the stuff basically.
Yeah, I try to do it separately, as you may know. Yeah. So in this project we had all the midis are very plucky, so there is a sub bass that basically it's going up and down with the pitch in the end, only just to create this, this particularity that you have on the sub bass. And the track, the flow of the track is going straight with these little things here. The pitch is going up only in one note, but it makes a lot of difference. Then we have this sub and a mid sub, as I call it, made with the doubler. Basically it's the same the same sine wave we have for the bass, so it's the sub bass with a bit of saturations, and I've erased some gain from the center, so I have only on the side. Then I EQ in this way, so we have from 100 to 400, just to have the low mid part that is really necessary to this kind of track. So altogether they did this work. You can hear the difference if I switch them. Then we have some layers here, just as we made it with the drop. We processed a bass on the left and a bass on the right. And it's very, very simple because there's a little bit of saturation and EQ. They are identical, so we just have one on the right and one on the left just to fill the spectrum. And then the main bass regarding the mid part that is really important, there is a pluck. Actually, I think this bass comes from one of my track, the remix I did for Raiden, I think. It's kind of old as bass, but it worked very good work here. So you can see how it fills the stuff. So this is with the bass. You just add some power that you would have not if you don't do some works on the mid part. So we have basically 3 parts of bass, one on the sub, one on the low mid, and one on the mid.
Yeah. You pointed out something which is really cool, because what I think it's, if you take away the basses you did with the, let's say, the Raiden kind of remix stuff, and you leave only the rolling basses, which is the main dish of the basses of FaderX, you're gonna have a more FaderX-ish track. What you added made the track really a really good breed between Maximals and FaderX, and this is what actually made the difference.
Yeah, this was the challenge.
Yeah,
do something that you may recognize even if you listen to your tracks or Maximals tracks. So there's something in common, and I think this project is really the essence of being Maximals and FaderX.
I agree.
And I personally love it. And maybe for the Maximals part we start talking about the break, because there's something I always like to do and I want to dive into with you, because I know that's kind of sounds that you like to.
Yeah, you pointed out about the break stuff we did together, and yeah, honestly, it's more a Maximals break because there are really some chords and some vibes which are literally from your background. I would have not. I can do some good breaks, but you have. I gotta be honest, you have something like really special in those. But the work we did together, like for the layering and stuff, it was really good. But I feel like it's more like on your side to talk about the breaks.
Yeah, but there's something very FaderX-ish.
Yep.
That it's this lead here. It's basically an init from Silent, and it's playing. Only the chords, and it's kind of easy because we started from here, then we started adding some organs that are my, my yard, my kind of yard. This is from M1, one of my favorite ever. It's called Synchif. It's really, really nice because I can use it into an orchestral track as I can use it into a disco track. So it's kind of useful for every genre you can ever think. And then this is the part I love the most because these strings from Contact are my favorite. So and with 3 MIDIs, you actually have a break.
Yes.
You just need the bass, that this time is with Silent. I don't remember if there's some playing with the cutoff. Yes, there is. But the bass is good because it has some glide, so the notes with all the rest, they start a little bit, a little bit after I actually played it. So there's this glide that makes all the difference, especially here. There is a kind of a pitch bend between the notes that makes all this kind of difference. I love do this stuff because it gives a really good feelings. And then in the second part of the break, where the things are more full, there are more stuff. I tried to figure out how the rolling bass from FaderX, the plugs from FaderX can fit into this track with my ideas, and I came up with these chords here with the piano. I just followed the pluck and I played. I don't think I've played it live because I'm very bad at it. So I just draw it with the piano roll. It's
You're not so bad.
And then I added some more organs. This is very wedding party in the 80s movie.
Churchish.
And this one that is again an M1, it's called Air String. As you can see, it's a very little processing on it, just an imager here on the organ. Maybe the piano has the most process with the Maserati harmonics, the brighter, but nothing less, nothing more. A little bit of EQ, extreme EQ I see, because I think some frequencies were a little bit high. But we have 6-7 layers and we have a break. And it's kind of cool because this is not processed at all. Sometimes you can find my tracks over-processed. Sometimes, like this, you can find that there's no processing at all, and it still works. It's
the FaderX effect, less processing, more like, no, but it's true what you said. And I just want to do a little focus on the bass stuff you did, the little glide. This really glues everything together, and it's great. And the cutoff, playing with the cutoff, it's very FaderX, so I know what it feels like. And but this glide on the bass, this is really top notch. It really gives a move The bass is alive. It's not that easy. Sometimes you just put a bass on the break and that's it, you know. Yeah, you just put it and yeah, that's great. It's gonna give some low frequency. That's what I want. But having the details also on those little things, it really makes the track next 10 track.
I should say that this would not be possible if Jordan Grace didn't have provided these beautiful vocals here, because the track started as an instrumental track. So we had mainly on the drop, we had these vocals, which I don't remember where I put it, but there's like doing this ooh ah ah ooh ah, which is wonderful. The wrong group.
Yeah.
Just drag it here. And these vocals were the focal point of the drop. We realized that for the track to stand out, we had to have a very good vocal that we tried to find into this new, at the time, new guy into the EDM world, which was Jordan Grace. And he's really, really good. He sent us a lot of layers, as you can see. A lot of harmonies, a lot of doubles, very good. Already processed a solid lead vocal. A lot of harmonies too here.
I wish I had a better life. Maybe one.
So he's really, really talented, and now his career in the EDM world speaks for itself, because he had a lot of tracks, and I'm glad we had him stand out, and he also had us stand out with this track, because otherwise with the instrumental, yes, you can crave something, but you know, if the drop starts like this, as you can hear, it's really empty, so we needed a vocal, because the track can stand out, but with a vocal it's better.
Yeah, you know, the instrumental is obviously very good. I mean, we did it, so we should be proud about it. But the vocal just sent everything to the next level. And by the way, big shout out to Jordan, which is an outstanding guy, really good character. And I love his voice. It's not a overused voice, and everyone can do voice. It's really a particular voice. That's why I really loved it on the track. But it's like he understood the track actually, because you know the little things, all the harmonics. He understood the chorality, every melodic aspect of the song. So he did really a great job. And yeah, we needed this vocal. I would say we needed this vocal even before he was there.
I agree, totally agree. Yeah, vocalist or singers has to be full 100% into it. Otherwise you can get these awful results. We can hear a lot into music, a lot.
Too many times.
So a big shout out to him, and let's hope to do something more together, because I really love him. Well guys, that's it for today. I really thank Pier, also because no one was available, so he was the only option left. But you did you did a great job, don't worry.
Thank you.
If you have any questions, just drop that down there in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe right here. I was joking. Of course, subscribe to our channel, then I will give you all the infos about FaderX down here. So, see you next week with Davide and not with Pier, unfortunately.
Ciao a tutti.
Ciao.